Hello. Welcome to Sunday Night Rec Chew. I'm just getting
Heyo.
something ready here. Hopefully you see that. Maybe. Yes, no.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's visible. And that's it. Just getting one more thing ready here because it keeps putting things on a different screen when I pull up the PowerPoint. Yes, I said PowerPoint. There will be a slide presentation. What's going on? Michael? Sean?
Hey,
Talk
I'm
to me,
back.
Goose.
Got a haircut.
got. Oh yeah, finally 4 months. I think last time I was there was April, maybe March. But I'm back. Sorry guys, I was sick. I was really sick. I lost my voice last week. I was barely keeping my eyes open, so missed y'all. Had fun at field day though. I missed the whole field day recap.
Yeah,
Right.
field days were fun.
You were there, so you didn't miss anything.
That is true.
Well, I missed the recap. I missed participating with my overgrown head. Yes, I did get a haircut today. First time in months.
So I got mine Thursday, I think.
Yeah, nice haircut, by the way.
It's under there.
I had to post that comment.
Reg
Chew, unite.
Almost
It's
like
a
we're
brand new
superheroes.
Michael. Wow. Yeah.
Assemble. He's going to say it. He's going to say it. Flame on. Who could name that movie?
Isn't that Fantastic
Silver?
Fantastic Deadpool 3.
Ooh.
Was it Flame On or Flamer?
They thought the guy was going to be his one character, and he ended up being another character. If you haven't seen Deadpool 3, you're missing out. That is one of the best movies of all time.
I don't know. Deadpool 1 to me is still the best.
Have you seen Deadpool 3?
I've seen them all.
Yeah.
No, it's been a while since I've
blows
seen
them away.
anything.
Because of all the fourth wall references, and having Hugh Jackman there is just, it's amazing. So
you're watching the Avengers.
That's all right.
Hey, you know what? That means we're being related as the Avengers. I'm okay with this.
So, hey, Ape is here. That's good to see you, Ape.
Ape.
Get some critique on a slideshow that I put together in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes? That's all?
Yeah, it's the basics. It's the basics. The information's not going to come from me. I direct people. The information is already available to everybody. I don't need to reinvent the wheel.
That is true.
So let me get my
No.
tired face cover-up blue light blocking glasses on. There we go. Now it's harder to see the bags under my eyes because it reflects off the screen.
I gotta say, I think I figured out the lighting finally. Just looking at the big screen over here.
Yeah, I agree.
A little off.
The short hair helps it. The less of a homeless look helps it.
Chris, it's not over the top. It was just, that was just one of the best movies ever made. So tonight we're going to get right to it, and then we can open it up for chatter afterwards. But tonight is taken from the thing I'm working on in chapter 5 is what most of tonight is from. Sweet. And I've decided not to go in order. I'm going to be mixing it up because I've already done things on water. I've already done 72-hour kits. I've already done planning. I've already done threats and assessments. Or have I done threats and assessments? No, I wrote that part. I don't think I've done that part. I can't remember. It's all coalescing into one thing in my head, and I don't remember. Well, I can't keep my live streams apart from the things I'm writing. So let me switch screens, and we're going to be talking about evacuations and sheltering in place. And the first thing I'm going to do is I need to add a screen to this scene. So let me existing PowerPoint. Okay, there we go. Going to be in front of me, so I'm going to have to move that. There we go. And that's the funny part is I'm always having to move myself. So I just want to say for those, we got to keep those suffering in Texas. This is not a good thing that's happened, of course. It's really scary, especially with that campground, the girls' camp being affected. Saw some videos and images of the campground where windows were open and broken and pillows, and I don't wanna think what may come of this, but, a lot of people missing, and just wanna, have everyone keep them in your thoughts and prayers if you are such, because they're gonna need it. My, the group that I work with, the LDS Church, uh, does a lot of response effort, mostly in the post, support and cleanup, and then relief efforts of food and supplies. And we've been told that currently they have enough hands, boots on the ground. They do not need outside yet, but they will probably need it afterwards, and we'll probably go in and do some cleanup and, probably a lot of mucking homes and helping out in
Yeah.
that.
And I just want to speak to that from the amateur radio side. I've been in communication with our Office of Emergency Management and our ARRL section, and we have contacted the South section. They have assets in place right now. They have plenty of their local areas operators at the scene right now, helping with the search and rescue. So I just want to share that with you. Ham radio is playing a big part of that, but this is one of those situations that really is really humbling. You never know when things are going to happen that are completely out of your control, and this is one of those situations. So the best we can do right now is just try to help where we can, but stay out of the way if we need to stay out of the way. I did send a message out to areas earlier and saying, we have 400 first responders alone, and then all the other teams that are helping as well. If you want to volunteer down there, there is a site for helping with that. But understand this is very new. They're not quite in the recovery portion of it, so please don't go down there until they're ready for the volunteers, because you may come across something you wish you never came across. If you go down there, 1, 2, you're impeding the rescue efforts and the recovery efforts that are in place right now, and we don't want to be doing that at all. So, back to Paul.
Yeah, I think one of the best things you can do now is, if you're someone who is able to, monetary donations to the charity of your choice that's got relief efforts there, and just don't get scammed. Anytime there's disasters like this, a lot of scam sites pop up. So stick with one that that you're familiar with, and that you support regularly, if you feel and are able to do such. So
Denton County is going down there, just to let you know, and they'll be down there for several weeks. They're going to be rotating staff in and out from that area. So,
all right. So this is an example of something that you just never know. I get flood warnings all the time, and I'm not standing out on my patio watching for water. So it's flood warnings were sent out 12 hours ahead of time. I saw I think it was a post on X from TDEM, Texas Department of Emergency Management. I believe that's who sent it out, or maybe it was the Weather Service that sent it out. They did post 12 hours. There was a lot of misinformation out there trying to disparage the emergency management and the Weather Service in Texas, and they put evacuation notices and flood notices out 12 hours prior to the actual flooding. So a big takeaway from this is something we've talked about before, and that is get your local weather alerts, whether it's a weather radio that has Is it SAM? Same alerts? Is that what it is, Michael? SAME?
Same. Sorry, I muted my mic. Same.
Same. Okay. Look for SAME alerts, which is your area specific. And
Specific area messaging encoding, if I recall correctly. SAME.
Yeah, so you're not going to get it if you're in Texas, you're not going to get it for New Mexico, basically. More than that, I rely on both city and county level text alerts. You can also through the FEMA app, you can get alerts through the FEMA app, and you'll put your zip code in and get those alerts. So I wouldn't just rely on one alert. I'd have a few alerts. So I've got my town, I got my county, and then I've got alerts through a radio as well, besides being an active member of the ham radio and Skywarn community.
Okay.
And areas.
Just to speak to that, if you're working on getting multiple ways of getting your information, don't have them all on your phone. Because if there's cellular issues, things are delayed. You may get delayed information. Have one on your phone. Have one on weather radio. Have one, a radio station. I mean, have multiple ways to receive your alerts, not just your phone, not just an app working. Because what if something happens to that infrastructure?
And I know, just to add to everything we've already said, just we can get local ones, but I know other states, you're only able to get the state. So just make sure that whatever alerts you get are for your state, your area. And just make sure you guys stay on top of it and don't ignore them. So we get, all the alerts all the time, Amber alerts and everything. We just ignore it. Don't ignore those alerts. Make sure you stay on top of them, especially when things are coming around.
Yep. All right. I think we can do maybe this, not this one. Let me try a different
what happened there? Sorry.
No, I'm messing with it.
Oh, that was you. I was like, I didn't do that.
No, I'm messing with it. Right. Besides me floating now, this way I think it puts everyone in there, and I don't think logos should mess with it. If they do, I'll try to remove them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I should see now if it's doing the right thing. So how to evacuate, not how to evacuate, but evacuate and shelter, and we're going to talk about how to plan for that. One of our plans, it's supposed to be spacebar, and spacebar is not working. So I have to manually do this, I guess. So evacuation necessary is usually if there is an imminent threat to life with enough time to safely remove yourself from the affected area. And what's interesting is I went ahead and did an AI search on when is a good time to evacuate, and actually 50% of my personal definition was AI's definition. But anyway, so evacuation is necessary when imminent threat to life. So that's why the Weather Service or Department of Emergency Management will initiate evacuations, usually with hurricanes, potentially flooding, things like that, because they know these things are coming. Not so much with tornadoes, because first of all, they're unpredictable. We don't know if a tornado is going to hit, so tends to be more of a shelter-in-place situation with other types of things. And then with sheltering in place, it's a better choice when external environment poses a greater risk of life than remaining indoors. And we can go through some of these. So when might we evacuate? And of course, I'm going to be in the way. So let me move myself back over here above these guys. Does that work? Am I above you guys?
Yeah, that works.
That works.
All right.
That was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
There. How's that? I like to be. I like to look like I'm looking at the slide.
Okay, there you go.
So yeah, it's the labels are in the way. If you want to go in design, you can take names off too, Michael. So you're going to see a lot of crossover here between evacuate and shelter in place. I think a lot of us understand most of these, or most of us understand a lot of these. When might we evacuate? Hurricanes, certainly they have a lot of notice ahead of time. Wildfires can be a situation we've noticed all over the country, specifically most recently in areas of California that have gotten most of the news and press. Evacuation orders come out. Flooding, like we're seeing now, evacuation orders. Tornadoes, I think the main thing, you might really not evacuate because usually when a tornado touches ground, it's too late to evacuate, and trying to outrun a tornado is a little crazy anyway. But where you might look at evacuating is if you're in a structure that's potentially too weak to withstand the wind and tornado storm that's coming. And I would
Mobile
suggest
homes,
that's
mobile homes,
yeah,
manufactured homes, stuff like that.
I would suggest that's something that you're doing when you see tornado warnings as opposed to watches, or is it watches as opposed to warnings?
No
You
warnings.
want to do it, yeah. You want to do it before a tornado hits the ground.
Correct.
So, and I'll talk about a pretty cool text from FEMA that you can put out that'll give you locations of
I
local
don't know. You
shelters.
can hear me. I got to jump out.
All right. And
Never
so,
just to add,
yeah, go ahead.
just to add to tornadoes, if it is a like major long track tornado and it's a big one and they're telling you to get out of your house and get out of its way, that'd be another great way to reason to evacuate. Because if it's a long track, say F4, F5 catastrophic tornado, your meteorologist might tell you get out of your home and go away. And when they tell you to do that, do it, because they either tell you get below ground or get out of its way. And you will hear that very rarely, but when you do hear that, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally haven't heard that before.
Yeah,
Everything in
it's
Oklahoma
a
you
tough
do.
one
because
because
those things can turn on a dime.
Correct.
yeah, tornadoes are difficult because hey Walter, good to see you.
Hey, Walter.
It's difficult because you don't know you don't they're not as easily predictable as say hurricanes.
Correct. Very true.
And so and you don't want if you're going to be out on the street, you don't want to be on the street now with 3,000 other people that are thinking the same thing.
correct.
And then you're stuck in your car. So
But
predominantly tornadoes, you're going to shelter in place, and you want to make sure it's a structure that's solid enough to withstand it, or as solid as possible. Like you mentioned, mobile homes and even manufactured homes
mhm,
tend to be the ones that have the most damage. Doesn't mean a brick home it won't be flattened as well, but if I was in a mobile home or even a manufactured home, I might have my own underground shelter, or I would know the closest shelter to go to if it happens.
have a
Right.
plan in place.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of me trying to run away from a tornado. My late friend Gilbert, he told me a story when the tornado touched down near Merrill Street off of was it Midway in Dallas, and
Mhm,
he and his wife were in the bathtub with a mattress on top of them. Just best case scenario at the time. And he heard this car motor running at a high speed, and turned out his neighbor put his entire family in the car. And when they tried to pull out of the driveway, the tornado, the rear of his car was lifted up in the air, so his wheels were just spinning in the air. So
yeah.
don't put yourself in a dangerous situation like that. In fact, there was a church
Never.
right at the end of their street, and all that was left of that was the porch, nothing else.
Yeah, the tornadoes that hit, what was it, Rockwall and was it Garland area? I can't remember
Mhm.
Right. Well played.
if I'm getting the right ones.
Yeah.
I believe there were 5 or 6 people killed that were driving, and it went over the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
in fact, we
you
saw
don't want to be in a car and try to outrun a
No.
tornado.
we
Not-
saw video footage of that happening. And by the way, if there's storms in the area, please don't listen to um, what am I saying? Satellite radio. Don't listen to Sirius XM.
Well,
Can y'all hear me?
yeah, we hear you. I
Yeah.
suggest
Okay, don't listen to Sirius XM because you're not going to get warnings over your radio from that. Listen to a local station.
Listen to a local station, or if you have a scanner, listen to your Skywarn operations, or some of the YouTube guys that we listen to, because if it's serious, they're going to cover it. I promise you.
thank you, Roger. So if there's tornado watch, that might be when you want to start looking at local shelters if you don't have a place that got good enough protection. And then warning, if you're someone like me or Sean or Michael, who I've got radars up, I'm on listening to Skywarn, I'm listening to operators. I know when it's being seen. I'm looking at tracks and stuff. I can see if it's on the ground and what direction it's going for the most part. And if then I can make a decision. Okay, it's 15 minutes away from me. It's potentially 15 minutes away from me. I need to find a more solid structure to get in, and then you might think about that. But anyway, let's move on. So
Okay.
dam failures, again, that could be something where you evacuate because if you're downstream, right? Disease outbreaks, kind of along the lines of chemical hazardous materials. If this is something that's localized, we might be asked to evacuate. I think, was it Chris? Yeah, Chris Bricker mentioned earlier, he's near a nuclear facility, so that might be something where you know, you definitely need to have some kind of evacuation plan, to be ready to grab and go if told to. The thing that came to my mind was a train derailment that, contaminated the air, contaminated the water, things like that. Terrorist attacks, of course, and then, under my name there, it's civil unrest or active shooter events. Might be a situation where you're asked to evacuate, and that's why we're gonna see in the next slide how some of these things, cross over to, sheltering in place, because there at the bottom, civil unrest, active shooter, the best thing might also be to shelter in place. And you'll see some of the same ones: hurricanes, wildfire, flooding, tornado, blizzards, outbreaks, chemical. It's so my point here in showing you that a lot of these crossover is it depends on the situation, and a lot of times what it's gonna come down to is my first point in the next slide, and that is to stay informed like we've been talking, uh, local notifications, weather reports, news, radio, etcetera, and follow instructions. Specifically, follow instructions for evacuation. Um, one of the things that people like to do is, "Hey, I've got this four-wheel drive. I'm gonna go on this off-road area around all these roads that I think might be bad or something," and they end up getting stuck. So, it's highly suggested that you stay, on the roads in evacuations and just follow the instructions. Know your evacuation routes. So now we're looking more into the planning. When you're doing a plan for your family preparedness plan, part of the evacuation slash shelter in place is going to be planning. You need to know what roads are available. You need to know if there are bridges that could potentially be flooded. You could need to know, um, and maybe prioritize those. The direction you need to go, or have friends or family that you're going to that's part of your plan, or a meetup place that your family knows is, if this happens, then this is where we're meeting. If I'm at work, wife's at home, or wife's here, and so you need to plan those evacuation routes accordingly. Um, and I will have sheets on those eventually, and I'll put those on the Discord, and then they'll be in the book, uh, hopefully sometime next year. And again, those evacuation routes aren't something you plan when you get a notification to evacuate. That's something that should already be in your plan, and your family should all know it. You should have your emergency kits ready and easy to grab and go for evacuation, and have some element of a kit in your car. I remember, I think Michael, I don't think Sean was on, it was a while back. I think it was Michael, perhaps Frank. We talked about that, about go kits and kits in your car. You should have some type of a kit in your car. And then you want to evacuate early. I mean, I can give so many examples. The biggest one that always comes to mind was Katrina. How a lot of people thought, "Well, I'm gonna be okay, I'm not gonna evacuate," and a lot of lives were lost because they didn't evacuate. You've got to evacuate early and get out. So another part of your plan might be locations or friends or family's houses that are within driving range that you would plan to go to for specific events or evacuations. Um, and then have cash, chargers, important docs, thumb drive. Again, this goes back to the grab and go kits or 72-hour kits. You need these things in your kits and ready. And they should be planned and part of your grab and go kits already there. If you have a charger that, like mine is here sitting in the window, it's a solar charger, so it's always charged with the sun. That needs to be on that checklist in your grab and go kit that you check to make sure you grab and don't forget it. Another thing is personal protection equipment, which is called PPE for short. And under Sean's thing, it just says you choose what type of personal protection equipment that you feel comfortable choosing. And that's not something I'm going to talk about on YouTube. On Rumble, it's something I could freely talk about, but I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to leave that up to you.
Okay, so let's kind of go out of PPE outside of PEWs. Yes, you need to protect yourself as best as the law allows you to from others and wildlife and so on and so forth. But I carry masks in my car. I carry gloves in my car. I carry blankets, and I have a pillow in my car right now. I actually had 2 sleeping bags from field day still in my car, but uh, you know, think of that kind of personal protection equipment as well, not just the PEWs.
Yeah, the PPE that I'm talking about is that. The other is something I'm not going to discuss, and you just choose for yourself.
Right.
And Chris Bricker got it. So if you've been involved in CERT, that's basically your PPE. If you look at in general terms, gloves, you can throw goggles in there to protect your eyes from debris or dust. You can throw masks, of course, like Michael's talking about, things like that. So get in the habit. Bring Frank in there. Get in the habit of keeping at least half a tank of gas in every car you own. Welcome, Frank. Good to hear you.
Hi.
Got the wind noise in the background there. Something you should probably get, and we've talked about this before, I'm pretty sure, is just look at the half empty mark on your fuel as near empty, and just keep your fuel tanks half full on all your vehicles.
That's also good just for vehicle maintenance as well. Just saying.
Yeah. And there's nothing like having a deployment and everybody's trying to rush to get to the deployment, and you got to stop and fill up because you don't have enough gas to get to the other side of the county.
Yeah, try to fill up your tank when you're at near empty when there's an evacuation order. Good luck.
Right.
We'll finish up here one more after this. So let's look at some considerations for sheltering in place. And again, as I go along, I haven't been watching the chat too closely. Look for comments and suggestions that people have experience in, or ideas and thoughts that they have as well.
Hey,
Make
Paul,
sure we talk about those. Yep.
You kind of moved on a little bit quickly there, but I like that comment. Try to find fuel when you're on evacuation. During Katrina, I'm just saying, during Katrina, we ran out of gas around here. All the gas stations were out of gas.
I remember
here
that.
in North Texas during Katrina.
Yeah.
It's because everybody came up here.
Yep.
I can also speak to that, having done the emergency response to New Orleans. We were traveling all the way back to Texas to get gas for the cars we had in New Orleans. So make sure you guys keep gas on you as much as you can to get you where you need to go. And probably a little extra.
I remember when we had a big organized mucking group go down to Houston a couple years back. They were basically told to carpool and carry extra cans of gas to return. So, yeah, there's a lot of that. But watch the chat for anything we're talking about. We'll discuss before I go on. But let's go ahead and move on to the sheltered in place and talk about considerations of that. Yeah. Right now is your time to buy hand sanitizer, masks, gloves, and certain items of the other protect yourself stuff we were talking about. Now's a great time. Considerations of sheltered in place. Stay informed. Again, we can't go over this enough, guys. Monitor alerts, weather reports, radio, etc. Everybody I see in here is a ham radio operator. Be part of your Aries or RACES group. Get the training. Be involved, even if you're not spotting. just get the training and be involved in it, and be the voice and the ears for your neighbors. I've talked about before the 2 elderly ladies, widows, both widows on either side of me. Be the person for your local neighbors in your group too.
And let me add to that. Don't
Go
just
ahead.
join them. Continue on with the training. You know,
Right.
you may say you may go to a training net. We have training nets once a month here. You may go to through a training net. It's like we're talking about stuff I already know. Well, maybe you can input on that net because we always have a questions and comments portion of that net, and I can learn something from you. But then you get to listen to all the other people, 30, 40 people that check into our nets, and they can teach you something that you're like, I didn't think about that. So don't just join an areas group, be involved with an areas group.
It's the same with CERT. I would
Or I was
suggest.
going to say, or
Yeah,
CERT.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, just be prepared. Now's the time to stockpile certain things. Just thought I'd show that screen, and I had some
Yeah,
time
that's
on
a
my
nice
hands.
Warhammer there. That's pretty
Yep,
cool.
stockpile on. Make sure you have things to do during
Yep.
emergencies.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, the kids might want to paint these things. Oh, let me just move these out of the way. Kids might want to paint these things, so make sure you stockpile lots of things that you feel comfortable stockpiling. Okay, have writing utensils. You know, keep lots of writing utensils on hand. So I'll leave it at that.
Yes, writing utensils. Well, yeah.
So anyway, seal off shelter. Okay, this is something that I've heard some people say that is just silly. It's not silly. It is
No.
something that you can put, that you can have part of your plan. Having plastic sheeting and tape is something that can be useful depending on the event that happens near you, especially if you're downwind of something. It doesn't necessarily have to, it may not be some zombie virus. It could be debris. It could be dust. I was what is it? Seattle to Idaho was 4.5 hour drive. I forget how many miles, 350 miles, 400 miles. In middle school, when St. Helens erupted, we got 4 inches of ash in North Idaho, 400 miles away. We had, I don't recall having masks, but you can't be going outside with slivers of glass, which is what ash is from a mountain, slivers of glass crystals in the air, breathing it. People were getting bleeding lungs and all sorts of things. So
Wait. You mean us Californians that raw dog all that ash and smoke are supposed to be wearing masks?
Have fun with that.
Yeah,
that
pretty
stuff
much.
sends a lot of people to hospitals, and a lot of that stuff is irreparable damage. So don't put it past cutting some plastic, having it prepared, having it marked, having it numbered. For the let me just put it this, for the gaps. I put in here seal the gaps, right? So even if you don't put a plastic sheet and tape off every single window, get the gaps sealed, which are usually around the door for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you've got ventilation, don't have your ventilation pulling in fresh air from outside. You're going to have enough air to breathe. The air will cycle, because you're not going to get everything sealed so tight that you guys are going to run out of oxygen. But it will keep out the debris, the ash, the dust particles, or whatever it may be that you don't want to be breathing in. It could be something hundreds of miles away from a nuclear site that is now irradiated dust particles in the air, and that does help prevent those dust particles from getting into your house and you breathing it. It's another layer of prevention. Is any of this perfect? No, but by having multiple layers, you can protect yourself as best as possible.
And
Go ahead.
Lee, yes, I do know what raw dog means. And Scott and I both agree here, ham till it hurts. 7 days is a minimum for supplies. Closer to 14 to 21 would be ideal.
Yeah. So again, that's another one of those things. Well, what if it's 3 months, right? I only had 2 months supplies. Well, what if it's 2 months? I only had 1 month supply, right? You just do as much as you can do with your resources and finances that you can do. And you build it up. If it's food, if it's supplies, build it up slowly over time as best you can. Mentioned turn off, ventilation systems. Stay in centralmost room away from windows. This is really critical for things like tornadoes and things that could break windows, bust windows, but could also be useful in events with air quality problems. Improvise. If you can't, if you don't have certain supplies, think of ways to improvise. So if I don't have a roll of plastic, I may be able to seal off around my door just with duct tape. That may be all that's necessary, or at least some level of protection. I know there's gaps in my door, even though I'm very good at trying to keep them sealed just because of cold or heat loss. Okay. Go ahead, Michael. Are you talking and we're not hearing you?
It's just freezing up constantly.
Oh,
I got to
all right.
reboot. I'll be back, guys.
All right. Thanks for the warning. And have your supplies ready, guys. Now is not the time to think of food, water, medical storage when the event is happening. We all know this. Prepare early and build on that. You build on even FEMA and other emergency plans, city, state, county, government wise. They don't just create a plan 20 years ago and go on that plan. Hey, Pamela, welcome. The whole field of emergency management has been evolving over time as far back as I've studied into it, which goes back to the Mississippi flooding, where basically emergency management kind of started and developed. It's always developing. And after every event, they develop and evolve their plans of preparedness, of response, of recovery. Some things work great and they will continue to work great, but some things need to be adapted differently. So let me give you two links. Maybe we can put those in the thing here. I got those up here.
Now, while you do that, one other thing with your supplies, guys, especially if you're storing food, check your expiration dates. I can't stress that enough either. Like if you're one of those ones that's been stocking up for years, might want to go back and check some of those dates and see if you can still use them. Or if it's getting close, go ahead and use those and then replace them.
Let me post these two links. Okay, that's a great point.
That's a good point.
Right here is a great point. This is one of those things that you need to plan. Now, potentially the septic and water could be flowing just fine, and you may be able to use it. And even if water is contaminated, if the water is still flowing, you could still use the toilet, right? But if it's not, you need to have something in place for that. And there are items, very simple items, as simple as kits with a bucket, a toilet seat, and bags, and then some bioenzyme stuff that you sprinkle in after you go. There's a lot of options out there, guys. So this is a great point. So thanks for making that point. I'm grabbing one more link because
that's a point that's always often overlooked.
Oh yeah.
Another one that's difficult, so we don't really want to get into it tonight, is medications. That's a difficult one. You're going to have to figure that out on your own. I know there's some websites now that sell kits. Personal opinion, I think they're overpriced, but they are kits that people can purchase. But I know a lot of medications are regulated heavily. You can only get so much of them, so you're going to have to find ways around that.
Also, if you're under an evacuation order or you have to get outside of your area, a lot of times local pharmacies to wherever you go will give you a small supply if they can verify that was like if you go to CVS or Walmart, they can look that up in their system anywhere. Just make sure you guys use that. Or a lot of times if you have more local ones, sometimes they'll give you an extra little bit to give you an extra week or two in case you guys are in case you do have to get an evacuation. Make sure you contact your pharmacist and be like, hey, do you have any more of this left? I might need a week because I'm fixing to leave and go, over here. So just
And Matt has a
awesome
good
tips for
point.
that.
Matt has a good point too. If you're using a well, remember it requires some form of electricity as well.
Yep. As well.
Yes.
Pun intended.
As well.
As well.
So here's the websites, and I'm not going to go into it. Hopefully you guys will peruse these websites. It's all on ready.gov. Anything I talk about is already here on ready.gov, and more than I'll ever be able to talk about. And I love the way they've got it. I've brought this up before in other streams. You just start at the top and you work your way down. This is how you get ready. Okay. So we're down here in evacuation and sheltering. But it goes over pretty much every topic, low and no cost preparedness, financial preparedness, all of this. So that's what I always suggest is go to ready.gov, start at the top, work your way down. I'm going to give some stuff. I've posted stuff on Discord forums and sheets. I'm going to continue to do that on forms and sheets that I find useful or that I've created myself that I find much more simpler than, say, FEMA ICS forms or other preparedness forms. One thing I want to show you guys. So there's that one, evacuation. Here's the sheltering one. So go through these things as you develop your plans. But this on the evacuation website, if you look right here, this FEMA National Risk Index, this is pretty cool. I love this kind of stuff. Let me post that first so people can pull it up if they want. Did that go?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me go to that. This is cool. Okay. So what this does is it categorizes every area, I think by county. Looks like counties.
Yes, it's
What's
by
that?
county. Yes, it's by county. I'm chuckling at my county over here in
Oh,
California.
yeah. You mean the deep red one?
No, that's San Bernardino and San Diego
Aren't you up
County,
here?
actually.
Or are you
No,
above San Francisco?
okay, where your mouse is, go
Yeah.
towards the coast, two blocks right there. That
Oh,
county
okay.
right there.
All right.
Yeah, relatively high.
Yeah. So let's look at that. Let's go to this county. I'm going to click it, and it goes to Sonoma County.
I'm all the way at the north end there.
And now here's what's cool. So here's the legend on the side. Okay. Very high to insufficient data, not applicable, blah, blah, blah. So we clicked on his. Let's look at Frank's score over here. So Frank's got a good score of 99.17.
Oh yeah, such a great score.
And percentile within California, he drops a little bit to 81. And by the way, dropping is a good thing in this case.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want the low score so I can golf
Yeah.
here.
You don't want 100% here.
Right.
So as we scroll down, it talks about the risk index. And I haven't looked at where they get the data, but I assume they're going to get data from previous incidents, probably insurance data, things like that, and probably FEMA, people applying for FEMA relief and stuff like that as well.
I bet you if you scroll down to the hazard of fire, that's where 98% of that 99% comes in.
Yeah, so let's look at Frank's area. So expected annual loss is very high, is relatively high. Social vulnerability relatively moderate, and community resilience is relatively high, which is a good thing. Which I think the way I understood it is it kind of lends to the preparedness level of that area. Is they're fairly resilient to the risks that they face.
For the most part.
Yeah, and that's a good thing too. You want this high, right? So the hazard type risk ratings for Sonoma County: avalanche, not applicable. Coastal flooding, it's actually relatively low. He's got a 56.9 rating. Cold wave, for some reason, I guess, Frank, you don't get too many cold snaps out there, huh?
We get down into the 20s, but not like Texas has.
All right.
Not like -8.
Now let's look at the drought index. So drought index is 99.8. That's pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Earthquake index, of course, 99.6.
It's California.
We shake, rattle, and roll a lot.
Yes,
so.
they do. And so you can go down here, hail, very low, heat wave, relatively low. I'm surprised by that, actually. 65.
That's because we have that coastal influence off
Okay.
the Pacific Ocean called fog.
So you get fog and maybe a breeze or wind. Your
Yep.
wind is higher, perhaps, keeping that down.
Mm-hmm.
Flooding is fairly high. Is it mountainous? I think it's mountainous on the eastern side, right?
No,
Sonoma?
we're mountainous here.
They're mountains too.
I sit at 380 some odd feet, and to
Uh-huh.
get to the Poda Park 5 minutes from my house, I have to go up to 1,500 feet and
Oh,
back
okay.
down to 200 feet. So yeah,
So is the mountain range kind of running through Sonoma, or does it make up a good portion of Sonoma?
on either side of the county.
Okay, all right. Tsunami very low, maybe because of elevation, overall elevation, perhaps.
Because we have that mountain pass.
Oh, that
mountain
runs
range.
along the coast.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Tornado very low. Strong wind very low. Tsunami, volcanic activity not applicable until one pops up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yellowstone.
Yeah. Wildfire relatively high. Winter weather very low. So you can look at this. So I'm not going to go into creating a report just because of time. 15 minutes after. So let's look at this. Now let's go to my county.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can tell the DFW Metroplex in that, can't you?
Yeah. So let's take a look at that. So we're up there as well in that 98, close to Frank's, but let's see if there's any differences. Our vulnerability is a bit lower. I think Frank's was relatively moderate. Our community resilience is lower, I want to say. Wasn't yours? You were
Relatively
not
high,
moderate,
yeah.
right? You were high, right? So your resilience is a bit higher than my county, which seems odd because I think Denton County is a pretty resilient county and very well
Yeah,
prepared.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Again,
Depends
I don't know.
on who's doing the reporting, right?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know the reports, so we got to just go with the numbers they've given us. So avalanche, coastal flooding, not applicable. Cold wave, very high, 98 compared to Frank's, which was low.
Right.
Drought is actually very low, I assume, because we have quite a bit of the lakes and the things that we have, the man-made lakes, of course, that we have here in the dams that provide water for a lot of the area.
Yeah.
Earthquakes, relatively low, which 85 still seems high, which is weird. It says we're relatively low, but we do have occasional earthquakes. Hail, 99.9. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
Heat waves, we tend to have a lot of heat waves. Hurricanes, relatively low because we're inland a bit. Now, if we look at Houston.
Now
the
we've
county
had
where
we've
Houston
had like
is.
6 hurricanes, believe it or not.
Well, when we have hurricanes, though, the effect is relatively low because it's on the fringe of the hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
We'll get the outer bands,
as long as
or
it-
it's.
Go ahead,
Good.
Frank.
I thought I heard somebody come in.
Oh, I was gonna say
no. No, Frank was sharing the screen here.
Once we're done with Denton, we'll come back. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, well, go ahead, Frank.
So,
I'm sorry, I
let's
jumped
see.
in.
Oh no, I was going to let you guys finish.
Oh, yeah, he's showing us the terrain there.
Yeah, you can see there's mountains to the west and mountains to the east of that 101 corridor.
Okay, that makes sense.
And there's that little bit down here at the bottom of the screen right there. That's our coastal lowlands until you get down into the San Pablo Bay, which our county bumps up against. But as far as Pacific, this is our lowlands right here, but we have mountains on either side. And generally speaking, it's this side of 101 that burns every year.
So can you zoom in any more than that? Can you go in just a little bit more?
Yeah.
Or is that okay. Now, and then bring it up a little bit. Bring Santa Rosa to the center.
I'll bring Santa Rosa to the center. Okay.
Okay. So I assume that lowlands you're saying is part of your county, right? You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of everything. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a red line like right here along
I
my
see it. Yeah,
mouse.
yeah.
It's very faint. That's the county line. So if you follow that around the map, you can see. So like over here by St. Helena, that goes
see it,
right
yeah.
through the
Goes right
center
through
of
the
the
mountains.
mountains. Yeah.
So let's say you're over there. Let's just say Santa Rosa or Glen Ellen there on the eastern side, or Eldridge in the mountain areas. let's say you're in one of those areas and you're looking at that county-wide report from that FEMA risk index. You may want to think differently if you're living over there in is it Carnett and Salmon Creek in the lowland on the coast? Because their tsunami, if you're living on that coastal area, your tsunami rate might actually be a little bit higher risk than someone living inland.
Oh yeah,
Right.
along here, Carmet, Salmon Creek, Bodega Bay, this whole area, they have signs along Highway 1 that says entering tsunami risk zone,
Oh,
exiting
nice.
tsunami risk zone. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's possible. But for the most part, like if I come up here, Jenner is another part, but that's where the Russian
Little bit
River
higher.
dumps out into the well, yeah, to a degree, but that's where Highway
Yeah.
1 and 116 meet. That's where the Russian River dumps out into the
Gotcha.
Pacific. So right in there where it dips down to sea level on the road, yeah, you'll have some issue there. That's
So yeah,
about
so
it.
my
For the
point
most
is, even
part,
though
it's
you're looking at
earthquake. It's earthquake and fire hazard.
See, I have an aunt and uncle that live in Santa Rosa there, and they've dealt with the fires and they've dealt with earthquakes. In fact, I had another aunt; she's passed on, but she said I wasn't feeling too good, so I had to sit down in the backyard. I was working in gardening, and then I looked up and I saw the plants swinging. I figured out, oh, it's not me; it's an earthquake.
Yeah.
an earthquake.
And I'm
So
up
that's
here
a
in this nice little valley here.
so my point on mentioning Cloverdale,
Yeah.
that's right, is even though you're looking at something like the risk index from FEMA in your county, you still got to look specifically at your location. And it's a perfect example of Frank's location compared to that lowland area on the coast has actual tsunami warnings. So that's why someone who lives in the lowland with tsunami warnings isn't going to want Frank's zip code or Frank's local city's alerts because they're not going to get the same alerts that the people in the tsunami area get. So make sure you're getting the right alerts. That's why it's important.
Yeah, it breaks it down by county.
Yeah.
So that's the best you're going to do is by county.
Yeah,
but-
it's not telling you your exact location. So you got to make sure if you like if I look at me, Sean, and Michael, we're all pretty much the same because we're in basically a flat area. Our county is mostly flat. There's no, mountainous area. There's no coastal area. So for the most part, we're going to have the same type of alerts. Now, it doesn't mean the tornado that hits me is going to hit Sean or Michael, but we're going to get we're not, Michael's not going to get a tsunami alert and I'm going to get one. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, there's some funny alerts in my weather radio. Tsunami alert's one of them. Iceberg alert is in there too. I mean, they got a little bit of everything.
So if you look at ours, it's pretty high in Denton County for most of this stuff. Landslide, which is interesting. But there are areas that I suppose could have that.
Especially when you start looking out west. Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
I'll give you a prime example. The San Gabriel River right now, isn't that usually not quite 100% dry, but that's, not a normal large river, right?
Well, I'm going to forget the number, but the report was that it was 5 feet above flood level, and I don't remember how quickly. It rose to 5 feet above the level where they say it's flooding.
I think it was like 3 minutes. It was like 3 minutes. It was like
so quick.
ungodly fast. Yeah.
So-
There's no reaction time.
So that's where the landslide idea comes in. Landslide it's not always, this big avalanche coming off the side of a mountain. It can be a moderately dry creek or river that gets an inrush of water like that and pushes, makes landslides of its own as it goes along.
We do have some hills. We don't have any mountains areas like California, but we do have some hills. We also have Mount Louisville.
Y'all are flat.
I'm waiting for a volcano to push up somewhere where there's nobody.
Yeah,
I need a
we
mountain
also have
close
Mount
by.
Louisville, which is our waste management mountain,
Right.
and they're trying to. I think they're putting a permit to raise it another 200 feet. So it blocks our amateur repeaters. Let's just say that.
It's getting there. The other thing I would say to the landslide part would be Ray Roberts, dam goes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That would seriously hurt me for sure.
So basically, so you guys get the idea. This shows landslide, lightning, of course, very high. Riverine flooding, relatively moderate.
Oh,
Hey,
Oh,
Colin.
thank you, Colin.
Nice, Colin. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Colin.
Member.
I appreciate the support.
Member for 4 months,
Yeah,
Colin.
4 months now. Hey,
good
wait a minute.
day.
Anyway, I'll have to look at that. Remember, Razorbacks get a free T-shirt after 3 months, and Hogs get a free T-shirt after 6 months. Yeah, wildfire, winter weather. We get a lot of winter weather. It's it's kind of unpredictable, but when we get it, we get it.
We
hard.
get it hard.
So anyway, I wanted to share that. That was such a cool website. And the links again up a bit. I think let me put it in there again. I think I've still got it as my pasteable link. Yes. So there's the link to that. But you can also find it on the Evacuate page on ready.gov. If you click on Evacuate, that same link is there. So look at that, check out your area, and help that. Use that to help you plan your threat and hazard assessment, and then make your plans accordingly for evacuating, sheltering in place, so on and so forth.
Whose phone was that?
That was the
obviously
guy who
Sean.
just disappeared.
That's actually
That was jamming,
hilarious.
man.
That's actually hilarious. For those that weren't around last night for Ham Radio Crash Course, Nate's phone went off, and it was in the middle of the biggest nerd conversation we've had in a while, and it was the best nerd ringtone ever, and it was his wife.
Oh, that's funny. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully that
I've
helps.
heard there's actually openings down in Central Texas, so I'm surprised to hear that they were cut. But I'm understanding that they're trying to get some people in there.
Yeah,
So,
it's going to be a crazy cleanup, and still missing people. So keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and the emergency responders as well, so they stay safe and get through it, because it's not easy.
yeah, like I said, Denton's going down there, and they're going to be there for weeks. Our emergency management's going to be assisting down there. So we got hams on the ground right now, helping with the search and rescues, providing communication and telemetry support for that. So
Yeah, until it hurts. That's funny. All right, well, that's all I have for tonight, guys. Frank, what do you got going on?
CQ Chit Chat this coming Friday is going to be a fun one. As usual, every Thursday, NorCal SwapNet. That's about it.
All right. Michael?
well, I didn't do anything this last weekend, so and this next week I'm going to a coworker's funeral, so that we'll see if we can squeeze an episode in. But if you haven't checked out my field day video, please check it out. It was a little different this year. Just had a different vibe this year for field day. I'm not sure why, but Douglas V, thank you for saying that. Do not self-deploy. Do not self-deploy. Do not self-deploy to any disaster. First off, you may or may not be trained for what you're going into. You need to be a part of an agency that's being deployed. That agency wants you there, and they have deployed you. They have requested you. Because there's a lot of things that people think they know about, and they just don't. So we do have people there, but they're there with the blessing of the emergency managers in the area. So those are the areas groups. They're embedded with emergency management like we are here in Denton County. So do not self-deploy. Thank you for saying that. So,
And on
sorry, I
the
got on a
topic
tangent
of
there.
Douglas. That's Douglas's. He dropped an update on his shack. He built a shelf and stuff. Posted it a couple hours ago.
All right.
Unless unless Frank's got the links handy. I'm going to pull them all up here.
I don't have any links handy tonight. Yeah, life. I'll just leave it at that on the public side.
Let me get these up. I'll just put these in here for those who need to subscribe.
I will say this, since we're talking about that. I'm at 1,600 or so watch hours. I'm trying to get to that elusive 3,000 still. And I didn't quite make it for June, but let's see if we can get to 2,000 subs by the end of July.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
No worries.
So since you're talking about that, Frank, I lost like 12 subs, and then I gained those back. So I'm right back where I was started again. So I'm at, if you want to know the exact numbers, 3,938. But my watch hours, I need my watch hours to go up. And sorry.
There you go.
Sorry. So put the field day video on endless repeat, and have a good night.
Yeah. So I have one. Oh, YouTube just kicked him off. I have one more request. If you feel so kind, please do. If you don't, it's not a big deal. I'm trying to get a miniature painting stream going, and I can't stream till I get 50 subscribers. And this is it. You can sub and you don't need to put on notifications. None of that. I just need 50 subs so I can start streaming while I paint. That's something I do on the side, and I'm just doing it to as my relaxation. My son designs them, I print, and I paint them, and I'm going to start doing more of that as soon as I can stream on that channel.
Sorry, my computer crashed.
That's all right.
I'm about to fix it.
We just figured Restream kicked you off.
I figured
that's what I'm thinking
YouTube
about
kicked
technology
because you
here.
told people not
The
to watch it.
technology.
It's yeah, for the most part, it's assembling and painting, stuff like this. Stuff like this.
Not what you just pushed out of frame.
Okay, so
thanks, Walter. Take care. Walter and I making plans, hopefully, to get to Tokyo Ham Fair again together.
oh yeah, I would love that. That was fun.
Yeah, my inner Bob Ross. It is. I just find it. There's a couple things I find relaxing that I like to just have something, music or something playing as I.
Can you
do.
drop a link? Can you drop a link?
What?
It's there.
Drop a link. Is it
what?
there? Oh, hang on.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, I did already. One of those things. One of those things is the two things I find relaxing are in the screen right now.
Yeah.
Making these, I make these, I reload these, and I put together and paint these. Both of these are very relaxing, and I'm not going to do a channel on the other one, so I do a channel on building and making these types of things. So,
However, we need to go talk about the other off camera. We need
well,
to
you know,
yeah.
I might start a Rumble thing and just go Rumble and do other stuff, but we'll see. And I think this might be the last time I'm on D Live, the last time I'm on Twitch, the last time I'll be on. What was the other one, Michael?
Kick.
Probably Kick. Potentially.
I
Trovo.
don't have as much of a problem with Kick. Twitch is kind of doing some really dumb stuff lately.
I've been restreaming to all of them to see what ones gain traction with ham radio and preparedness, and they really aren't. So I'm probably going to get rid of those. I apologize if you're subscribed to me on those. You'll just have to subscribe to me on Rumble or YouTube.
Twitch is they're just selective of who they're going to force the TOS with and others.
That's true.
YouTube's
all right, Sean.
pretty general. Oh, there it is.
You were gone. What do you got coming up before we end here?
What I got coming up? Nothing major. Work's still getting in the way, but I'm starting to get the questions going again, so those will be popping up hopefully this week. In fact, I'll probably start them back up this week. Other than that, just keep liking and subscribing the videos and keep pushing them out because we get to 500 and I've made a few promises. If I get to 500, I will design a shirt.
And
Wow.
Bricker, I'm sorry. You're going to confiscate the Warhammer kit if your son doesn't do it, and you're the one that puts ketchup on pork chops. Yes, that one has not gone unnoticed by me yet.
73 amplihertz.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and shut this down, guys. There are links in my description on my YouTube that do help support the channel. There's Amazon shopping list of things I've used that I like, and so I put them in those lists. There's links for Alpha Antenna. There's links for TID radio. I no longer buy Baofeng. For my cheaper radios, I'm just using TID radio. You get a discount, and you get a discount for Scott's Skyhook using the discount code, and I think that's it. But
Oh, hold on, Paul.
oh, I've got to do my credits too. I haven't done my credits.
If you too want a big ass mat,
There you go.
KG6 NLW Quirky at checkout will get you $5 off.
AG6 NLW.
No, KG6
Thanks,
NLW Quirky.
Oh, Quirky. I thought you said at Quirky. I thought you were saying Quirky. KG6 NLW Quirky.
Yep.
When you check out Quirky QRP on Etsy's, and you get a discount.
That's it from me,
yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, I just did the short on that. It's pretty cool. I've got some other fun ideas of shorts to do with that mammoth mat, but you'll just have to wait. I don't want
huge.
So let me do this real quick, guys. Go to just me, or predominantly me, and we'll do this. Thanks everyone for your support in the channel. Tortoise Overland still the stream boss, going strong with 185 hit points. Again, Razorbacks, you get a t-shirt at 3 months consecutive subscription, and Hogs, you get it at 6 months. But I even appreciate my piglets. But you just don't get a shirt for free. So thanks everybody. That's going to be it for this stream. We'll see you next week. I'll try to do a live stream this Tuesday from Japan if it works. If not, we'll see you next week. Spend a night Ragchew. Michael,
It'll
you got it, or
work.
do you want me to get it?
Why don't you take it?
All right, I'm gonna
I'm
take
having
it.
computer
Yeah.
problems tonight, so
Let's say goodbye, everybody.
See
Bye,
ya.
y'all.
Bye, everybody.